Goes on. Joining us now is the Florida Republican Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart. Thanks very much, Congressman, for coming in.
Great pleasure, Wolf.
So what do you think? You think this meeting the president's scheduled at 5:30 today over at the White House with the Speaker, with the minority leader in the Senate, the Democratic leaders, is there a possibility that they get into a room and they just talk and talk and talk and don't leave until they work this out? Is that possible?
You know, what I'm hoping comes out of this meeting is a path forward, Wolf. What we've had to this point is people talking at each other, not to each other. And, you know, you just don't solve problems that way. So I'm hoping that this is not just a photo op. I'm hoping this is not to say that you're doing something. I'm hoping what comes out of this meeting is what's the process? What do we have to do to start talking, to start negotiating? All of us are to blame. The entire federal government is to blame here. I think, you know, the Republicans in the House, we have to take our portion of the blame, and the president has to take his portion of the blame, and the Senate has to take his portion of the blame. That's not what's important. What's important is, are we willing to now lower the rhetoric, stop accusing people if you did this, you did that, lower the rhetoric, and let's start talking, let's start negotiating. If we can move that, if we can start that process, and then we can get out of this thing, and we can get out of this thing relatively soon.
I got a lot of tweets. I asked my followers on Twitter to offer some suggested questions. Many of them want to know, will you accept your paycheck as 800,000 other federal workers are being denied theirs?
Will I accept what? I'm sorry?
Your paycheck.
Accept my paycheck?
Yeah. Will you accept your paycheck while almost 800,000 other federal workers are being denied their paychecks?
Right. Well, a couple things, and I know that you said that obviously I hope that when this is over, and I hope it's over soon, and all that it takes is for everybody to talk to each other, and that's what I hope will happen. But I'm hoping also that then we will be able to make whole those folks who, at no fault of their own, you know, they're getting hurt. There's a bit of a constitutional issue, by the way, as you know, when you're dealing with the paychecks of members of Congress. So the important thing here is this. Will we and can we solve this? Yes. I think it's not time to, again, draw lines in the sand, no red lines in the sand. It's time to just lower the rhetoric, not come up with gimmicks or with, you know, ways to point fingers. It's time to now talk, not at each other, with each other. If we do that, Wolf, we will get out of this. It will have a very minimal impact on the economy, on the country, on services. In order to do that, I think we have to start focusing on the real issues, on the big issues. The big issue, Wolf.
So do you think they should lump together the reopening of the government and raising the debt ceiling? Because that has to be raised by October 17th, as you know. And if they don't, the economic consequences of that would be horrendous on the overall U.S. economy, maybe even the global economy. Some economists predicting it could drive this economy back into recession. Should they make a deal on everything right now?
Well, first place, I hope that we solve this before we get to the deadline of the debt ceiling. Could there be a deal on everything? Absolutely. But what is lacking right now is communications. You know, the House, again, I'm not going to get into blaming because I think we're way beyond that. But the House has established a process. We have a conference committee. We're ready to meet. It requires, the president, by the way, has been very clear that he will not negotiate with the House, which I think is, you know, is frankly not productive. The President of the United States must lead and he must negotiate. The House needs to lower the rhetoric. The Senate needs to lower the rhetoric. If we do that and we focus on the real issues, not on the peripheral issues that are good sound bites, on the real issues, on how do we move forward, we can get there. And I hope we do it before the debt ceiling. Could it be part of an overall deal? Absolutely, it could. But I just hope that we do this, you know, the sooner the better, for the sake of the country. Also, by the way, just the visual of the world seeing that we're closed down is just not something that I think is positive.
It's a horrible situation. Very quickly, because we're out of time, if they reopen the government, you will vote to make sure that all those 800,000 workers retroactively get the pay they lost.
I would. I absolutely would. You know, they didn't make this decision. They want to be working, and I don't think that they should solely be the ones that suffer the consequences for this shutdown. I would vote for that.
Would you vote for a clean, continuing resolution just to end this once and for all, without any attachments to Obamacare, without any other attachments, just get everybody back to work right away?
Well, I think it's a very valid question. But I think that these negotiations should not be done out in the press, with all due respect. I think these negotiations have to be done with members of Congress and the president speaking. So I'm not drawing any red lines as to what I will not support. The important thing is to start the conversations in the House. We're ready to do that, and I'm hopeful that we're seeing that the president and the Senate is willing to do the same thing.
Representative Mario Diaz-Balart, thanks very much for coming in.
Always a pleasure.
I appreciate it. With hundreds of thousands of